Hello, beautiful people. Happy Thursday. Happy April 27th. So it's just a day after my birthday. I had a solar return yesterday, and actually, right today, I'm having Uranus conjunct in my North Node. So let's see how this plays out. But the reason why I'm coming on air is actually to talk about the Chiron Mars square that's happening today. And because Chiron is actually in a sign of Aries, Mars is the ruler of Chiron. And at the same time, of course, we still have a Jupiter in the sign of Aries, so Mars also rules Jupiter. So what this actually means to us? So as we are experiencing in a current world, in a current society, there are a lot of changes. There are a lot of changes happening. There are all these new things coming onto our horizon, into our perception, into our cognitive thinking, right? And not everybody is ready for it. Not everybody feels comfortable with it. And that's because we identify reality as something. Like up till this point, there was a certain definition. There is always a certain definition of what we consider the normal, or what is making us feel safe. And this is something that currently Mars is challenging, because Mars is currently transiting through the sign of Cancer. So it's giving us the opportunity to actually figure out if these labels and identities that we attached to are still making us safe, if they are still making us feel at home, and if they still resonate with who we are, right? And at the same time, there is this Chiron going through the sign of Aries, and it has been for a while, and it will be there for another, I think, couple of years, 3 years. And Chiron is actually trying to help us understand that there is a new beginning, and it's perfectly okay for each of us to be who we are, who we are born to become. Because Aries is this beginning of the zodiac, is the baby. The baby comes into the world. It doesn't know like, okay, well, what exactly am I doing here, right? It can't speak, it can't walk, it can't do anything, it can't take care of itself. But within the baby, there is the seed which the baby will grow into, right? There is this blueprint DNA, our crystalline DNA, and the contracts that we created prior to incarnation, which is as per my belief anyway. And then we all came here to go through our unique fool's journey, right, as the tarot would say. And we start from the zero, right? We start from the Aries. And there is this instinctual desire to follow certain path, to follow certain purpose. Even already from childhood, the children starting to understand. Once they start to understand that I am, then they have preference. Even you give a baby like 2-3 different things, it will choose the one it prefers. It has a preference, right? So there is already something within us that is helping us to understand, to help us make choices, to help us decide, to go in a certain direction. But majority of us were brought up in the environment, or born into environment where we are not always encouraged to be truly ourselves, because there is all these expectations from the society, cultural upbringing, from the religion and stuff like that form us into something. And many times we have to let go of certain aspect of our authenticity if it wasn't being supported by the environment we were born into. And this is what Gabor Mate talks about. The need for connection will always override the need for authenticity, because the survival depends on it, especially when we are little. And this is something that is kind of following us through our life, because always in opposition with Aries is Libra, which is the relationship, the other person. And majority of us want to fit in somewhere, because we're social creatures. We want to be in relationship, we want to be liked, we want to be accepted, and that sometimes comes at the cost of people pleasing, compromising, sacrificing. And then we go too much into the other extreme. We are what the other want us to be, but then we letting go of this Aries aspect of ourselves. Like, who was I born to become, right? What is the purpose I was meant to follow? And I'm sorry, my leg is going frozen. So actually what's happening here with this square is creating this pressure, because it's the first quarter square, so there is a need for some change, right? It's creating this, it's a crisis in action, so certain change is required. And because Mars is currently in a sign of Cancer and trying us to unpeel these layers of identity that no longer describe who we are, we no longer resonate with, we no longer identify with, and perhaps we no longer feel safe being, right? Because, like, you know, our home is the place where we feel safe, but our body is our home, is the home for our spirit. And also in the traditional astrology, and I think medical astrology, the physical human body is represented by moon. Moon represents the physical body. So do you feel at home where you are, right? Because it doesn't matter where you live in the world, you will always take this home with you, just like Cancer, just like crab, you know, it carries its home on its back. So currently Mars going through the sign of Cancer, it's helping this process of helping us to identify, you know, with this Aries archetype. Is this still me? You know, is this still the direction I'm meant to be walking towards? Is this still giving me a sense of purpose? Am I heading towards some purpose out there or not? And then that could also cause crisis, right? But at the same time, we are having Mercury and now Sun as well in the sign of Taurus. So that's again, it's bringing the energy, the light is shining inwards, you know, because with the Sun, it just like puts the torch out there, like, okay, let's see which area of the house we're looking at. And the Sun currently is shining onto Taurus, which is very internal energy, very yin, it's very receptive. So it's, you know, with the Taurus, it's like about these our inner needs, inner values, essential needs, values, relationship to ourselves. So currently, these all are having sextile going between each other, you know, like Mercury in a sign of Taurus, Mars in a sign of Cancer, Saturn, which is our structure of reality, again, is in opposition with Cancer. So it's like our safety and security, the system, the structure that's making us feel safe, that is in a sign of Pisces. So these all are like communicating together and helping us on this process of identifying who we are, who we want to be, where are we heading, and what changes do we need to make. Because, you know, Venus is in a sign of Gemini, so she's ruling Mercury at the moment. Mercury is going in retrograde, so it's even more introspective, redoing things, rethinking, refeeling, re-evaluating, re-identifying. And Venus is in Gemini, so she's like, well, there are a lot of options, you know, you can choose whatever you want, but, you know, the main thing is that it has to be in alignment with your values, with who you are, with the person that you are becoming, you know, that we're growing into every day. And with this Chiron being in Aries, how I'm tapping into that, we live in a society which is still very deeply conditioned by the past age of Aquarius, because we just came out of it. So that was a culmination of the 2000 years, the process. So we have a full understanding of the age of Aquarius, of the age of Pisces, but we only just entering the age of Aquarius. So we don't have that understanding of what that's gonna be about, right? Like, you know, like we are just at the very, very, very beginning of it. So what I'm trying to say by this is that majority of people have this understanding what Pisces Virgo represents, you know, these beings of service, you know, like being a good person, you know, that we are not perfect, and you know, you should not like feel superior because we are all imperfect. Like with the Virgo always strives for perfection. That's why it always accumulates new skills, new knowledge. It wants to become a self-master, but there is always this process of organization, and, you know, like it can get itself worked up because it's not so perfect. And majority of people, at least from my experience and the people I'm coming across, struggle because they feel that they don't deserve. They feel they're not good enough, that they need to do something else or be someone else or look somehow else or something else in order to be deserving, in order to be worthy. Because we've been conditioned that if you do something for yourself, you're being selfish. I know that I was in my childhood, well, you know, and I was just a child, I didn't even understand, but it was like, oh, you're so selfish because you're doing this and that. And, you know, I had three younger siblings, and I didn't understand at the time, but this is, well, a lot of people were brought up with that, especially if they had siblings, like, oh no, you're selfish, you have to think of someone else. But if you pour in from an empty cup, you cannot really give anything to someone else because you have nothing to give. So actually this is something that is currently shifting and needs to shift, because the most important responsibility we hold in our life is towards oneself. Of course, if you have children, you are responsible for your children until they enter adulthood, and then you have to allow them to become adults and take responsibility for their life, right? However, throughout this process of conditioning we all went through, a majority of us anyway, we learned that, to actually listen to ourselves, to do what we feel is right for ourselves, and, to go after what we want is selfish. It's not a good thing, because you don't think of the other person. But then going the opposite way, which many people also struggle with, this codependency and people pleasing, is also not healthy, because then eventually you get angry or frustrated or sick because your needs are not being met. So there is this middle ground which we need to find, but in order to find it, you need to know yourself. Is the know thyself, right? And currently, with Jupiter being there, it's helping us to learn that, because Jupiter is our truth, our belief system, right? And it's going through the sign of Aries. So again, there is an opportunity for this brand new beginning in regards to how we think, how we think about life. Like there is this new cycle beginning, that there is this opportunity for opening up our mind. And there are all these people coming to our consciousness in podcasts or in, all sorts of ways through social media, where there are people, scientists, doctors, speakers, academics, whatever, that they've been already working on these different perceptions, different ideologies for decades, but we weren't ready to hear it as a collective, as a human collective. It was too early, because we weren't ready to receive this alternative way of looking at things. Even from medicine, there is a brand new approach to medicine, to healing, this more holistic, where a lot of other factors are being taken into consideration, not just the physical body, right? So there are all these opportunities for shifting our perception of reality, as shown to us by Jupiter, who is still in a sign of Aries, just about to move into Taurus next month. And now Chiron's been there for quite a while, and Chiron is actually trying to help us to accept that it's okay, it's okay to actually live your life, because you are here to live your life. You cannot live anybody else's life. You can share your life, your experience with other people, and there always will be the other, because we need the other to mirror back to us who we are, what we still, where we are in our journey. If we get triggered, there is still something that needs to be healed. If the people we attract in our life, we feel like, oh yeah, this person totally gets me, they totally understand me, they're on my fractal and stuff, then you know that you are doing the work, because now if you are attracting people that mirror it back to you, and you're happy with how you feel, then you are on a good path, right? And but a lot of people still struggle with this. There is still this wound, right? Chiron, the wound, where we feel that, well, if I will become who I really want to be, when nobody can see me, when I'm in a shower or something, or, late at night when I'm going to sleep and I don't have to pretend to be someone else, to be socially acceptable, then, then I'm selfish. I'm a bad person, because this is how I was brought up, that I always have to be there for others. I always have to do what everybody else is approving of, or what other people are agreeing with. But then if we carry on like this, then how will you ever find your people? How will you ever find your purpose if you live in life that is not yours, right? So Chiron going through the sign of Aries is actually helping us to come to peace with that you're not gonna go and be angry at the little child for wanting a nappy change, baby, or being fed, because that's a baby thing, right? That's what they do. They can't help it. But in the same way, that thing, that essence that's within you, that came with a certain desire to experience certain things, and there is this instinct to follow certain direction, Aries with Mars, that is unique to each and every one of us, and only you can find out what it is, because the answers are within. That's why Mercury now in Taurus going retrograde, it's helping this process. That's why everything feel a little bit like a slower, like a quiet before the storm, just before the next eclipse hits us, okay? And with all these energies that's been happening in Aries, I mean, we had two new moons in Aries. I mean, this is not very frequently happening. It's very rare. We had the first eclipse of the year in Aries, on a 29 degrees. This year, the nodes, the karmic points, are going to move into Aries Libra archetype, into the axis, the Aries Libra, with the North Node, which is where we head in, the evolutionary potential, it's moving into Aries. So it's again, know yourself. So more and more people will actually start the journey of self-discovery, where they will actually want to figure it out, because with this fast changing world around us, we are understanding that there is not so much we can control externally. Like, you cannot go and control the other person or something else. I mean, you can try, but it's going to take a lot of time, effort, and a lot of frustration and anger, probably, which is again the archetype of Aries, like angry, frustrated. Oh, I just want to go. I want to do something, and I'm stuck, right? So we have all these activations, this solar eclipse was a prime activation, the activation for this process that we're going to embark on. And in summer, Pluto is going to square the nodes on the 28th of July, and already they will be in this Aries Libra spot, right? So that will be another activation. And this is all to help us understand that we are here to walk our unique path. We know instinctually, we know what it is. We know we're drawn somewhere, but there is this inherited feeling of guilt, shame, and inferiority that is blocking us from following it, because what would the other say? The Libra opposition. What would the other person say, right? How will that affect my relationships? But if you are surrounded by the right people, by the people who love and accept you just the way you are, then they will still love you, right? Like, if they are your people, they will be there for you. And if they can't accept the person that you're changing into, because the only constant in life is change. So we are all going to change at some point. You are very unlikely to be the same person you were when you were 16. And I mean, if you still are, then what happened? What happened? How did you spend the past how many years? Because the whole point of being here is to grow and evolve and learn and fall on your bum and then get up and try again. And and every single experience we have in life is enriching us. It's helping us to grow, to become the better version of ourselves, hopefully. So having this square going on, I think it's creating a lot of tension, a lot of need for adjustment, because with this, Mars going through the sign of Cancer, and at the same time being, trine by Saturn, being sextile by Mercury, these are all coming out of orbs slowly, but it's still active because of the signs. So we are slowly, also with the encouragement of Sun now being in Taurus and Mercury going retrograde in Taurus, which is a lot of internal process, a lot of internal energy, a lot of yin energy. So slowly, from what I can observe and what I can see, and also what I can experience through interacting with clients or my friends or people around me, is that this process is happening. A lot of people are going through this process when they feel that there is a change coming. They're starting to question things. They're starting to go more within and try to actually figure things out in regards to their experience, their personal experience they're having, and what it might actually take to change things, or what change they want to invite into their lives. So with Mars going through this process, and Mars is like, like it's got like this arrow, it's getting through the water, even though it's slowly and it's like very emotional and stuff, but it's plowing through, right? And it's going forward, it's happening. And then at some point Mars is gonna go into Leo, and it's gonna be like, yeah, Leo, like, here we shine, right? But first, in order to shine, you need to figure out what you want to shine as, right? So with this process of Mars going through the sign of Cancer, it's helping us to have the deeper understanding of the layer of ourselves that we want to get rid of, that are not part of our future, that we don't identify with anymore because they don't make us feel at home, they don't make us feel safe. And that then is creating this pressure, onto this Chiron, that, it's actually okay. It's okay to start all over again. It's okay to be yourself and follow your own unique path. It's not selfish. You won't say to child that, is doing the things children do that is selfish, because they don't understand. They don't know. They are at the beginning of the cycle of life. But these cycles, everything is cyclical. Every year we have, the nature being reborn and everything dying again, right? And this is the same with our human life. Like, nothing lasts forever. There are all these cycles within cycles within cycles. And there will be point in life for every single one of us where that which held meaning no longer holds a meaning. There is the Pisces. It came to die, like Saturn now in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces. A lot of things that held meaning previously and inspired us just are not there anymore. And that's why this Aries energy is so important, because there is this need for something to replace that which no longer holds a meaning. Also with the Saturn, the structure of our reality, this this belief that something has always been there, so it always will be there, and it makes us feel safe and secure. That is, now we are waking up from that illusion, because also Neptune is an illusion, like fog and stuff. And a lot of people are affected very, very badly. Like, they try to escape, through any way possible. Some people are even not being able to stay here anymore in this physical reality, because it's too much. And it all comes back to every single one of us, and what path are we here to follow. And in order to head into this new direction that is being opening up for us and has been activated by the solar eclipse last week, we need to accept that you are unique, that you are here to walk your path. It's not selfish to live your life the way you were not programmed, but you were destined in a sense. Well, you chose it, right, prior to your incarnation, but that might not be your belief. But we all feel that there is some pulling, some instinctual pull towards something, whatever that is, whether it's a hobby or something or a person, right? And the person and the other, whatever that is, reflects it back to you. It just gives you a confirmation or lack of, which is triggering, like, oh, why you can't see me, right? So anyway, going back to the core message, we are in the middle of this process. Well, not even in the middle. We are starting this process. I mean, there is this first quarter square. So it's like, okay, there is this crisis in action. Okay, we've maybe been sidetracked. We were going in a wrong direction. Now, okay, let's reevaluate. Mercury in Taurus, retrograde. Let's reevaluate. Sun in Taurus is shining the torch. Okay, so let's go back to the basics. What is important to you? What matters to you? What gives you the sense of joy? What lightens you up, right? Like the sun in Taurus, what gives you the sense of joy, and pleasure? What kind of relationship you have with yourself? Then is this then mirrored back to you by the relationship with the other? Do you feel empowered or disempowered in your relationships? And then with this Mars going through Cancer, it's helping us to strip these old layers of identification, like when you are at the college and you work in a coffee shop, but now you don't work in a coffee shop anymore 20 years later, so you don't identify yourself as a barista. Yes, once upon a time when you were 17, maybe you were a barista, right? But now you may be something else. Maybe you are a lawyer, right? And you go, no, I'm not the barista anymore. Come on, that was a long time ago. But this is a process in life where we always go through this peeling of the layers. Like, okay, well, maybe I don't even want to be a lawyer anymore. Maybe I want to write a book. Maybe now I want to be an author and write a book, and then, okay, I'm no longer a lawyer, and now I'm an author, right? And this is what this Mars going through the sign of Cancer is doing right now. It's helping us to identify what is no longer part of who you are, what is who you were, and you want to strip this layer. And that is then to help us to understand this Chiron better, that okay, if I'm not this, then who am I? And maybe it will require to start from the scratch. Maybe it will require to go all the way back to the drawing board, the Aries, but you can do it, because the cycles happen over and over again. It's a cycle of life. We are born, we die, we come back, we born, we die. It's the cycle of life, like there's nothing new under the sun. So yeah, with this Chiron in Aries, it's just helping us to accept that everything that everything that once began will end, and now this is the chance for a new beginning, a beginning of healing, where we were conditioned by this Pisces age, which is the archetype of 12th house Pisces, which made us feel like a victim, like a martyr, like a victim of circumstances, like we had no choice. But now we do have a choice. With everything that's available to us right now, we do have a choice. We always had a choice, but we had to have that experience in order to understand the polarity. And now the polarity is that we have a choice. There are so many choices out there, so many options, but you have to be brave. You have to be brave to believe it. With the Jupiter in Aries, you need to believe it. You need to shift your belief system. Start all over again. Go back to the drawing board. These things that you've been fed maybe throughout your entire life, are they really truth? Do they support you in your process? Are they leading you towards this purpose? With the Aries towards Leo. Is this what you know now? Is that leading you towards the Leo, towards the life where you can shine, where you can live your purpose and be truly yourself? Is that the truth? And what is the truth for you? So this is the square, and I'm sure that for a lot of people it's creating tension, because with more and more this introspective work where people actually are starting to ask questions, deep questions that they ask themselves personally, because that's where you find the answers, right? And a lot of things just don't resonate anymore, so through this current transits we are experiencing right now, heading towards the lunar eclipse next week, we have this opportunity, to acknowledge that yes, certain things require change, they require this shift, this crisis in action. A new action has to be taken in order for it to be the trine, Once Mars moves into Leo, eventually it will make a positive aspect to this Chiron. The Chiron it's squaring now, which is creating this tension. But once Mars moves into Leo, and it loves being in Leo because it's all this fire again, it's like, yeah, let's get moving, let's get going. Like I have a, some stamina going on here, I can show up. And that will make a trine to this Chiron. And what is that telling us? If there is a trine, if there is a positive aspect, it's telling us that this is what you came here to be, to become. You were born to get to that point where you can shine your light, not to be a victim, not to sacrifice, not to people please. The people who are for you will always love you just the way you are. You don't have to be anyone else. You don't have to do anything else. Like, of course, we live in a society where we have to, respect the other and consider their needs as well. But it's our responsibility, each and every single one of us, to figure out what this is, What is your value? What is your need? How can this other person, even help you to meet it if you don't know what it is? So everything that's happening in the sky, at the moment, always, it's just supporting the same goal where we're heading as a human collective, which is to live more authentic life, to be truly individuated. Because if we were all the same, as the schooling system is trying to convince us that, we all need to know the same thing, say it the same way, fill the answers on the question and on the exam form in the same way, give the same answer most of the time, right? But this is not what we came here to do, because each and every one of us has a unique purpose to follow. And universe would never expand if we were copy-paste of each other. So, be brave. Just be yourself. Be uniquely you. And Pluto going through the sign of Aquarius will definitely support that process. So, yeah. So anyway, guys, I'll leave it at that. I think that's enough on the theme. And let's see where all these transits are going to lead us. But it's time to be brave. To be brave and to actually, start this new cycle of life, whatever that means for you. The changes don't even have to be major, but just to understand that nothing lasts forever and everything that once begin will also end, and be okay with that, because with a new cycle of life that there is an excitement, this Aries, it's excited, it's it's got this instinctual desire and it's optimistic with this fire of creativity, and let's just go, let's just do something. So yeah, so I feel that as a human collective, this is where we at, you know. In a sense, yes, we are afraid because there is all this unknown. We don't know what is the definition, where is the safety net, you know, where is the structure. But the structure is dissolving. The Saturn is in Pisces, right? So, you know, if you can't rely on the other, then you better find the emotional safety and security within. And that's what Mars is helping you with, you know, Mars in Cancer. That's what is assisting with. So much love to everyone, guys. I hope that this was helpful to someone. Feel free to comment, like and subscribe if you found the value in this, and I'll speak to you soon. Much love.